Good evening, BookTube. Today we're going to make a comparison video between Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and Max Berry's Jennifer Government. This book was published in 1932, and this book was published in 2003, so decades apart. But you'll be surprised how many similarities these books have. So we're going to talk about what a reverse Orwell is, because both these books are what I call reverse Orwells. And then we're going to talk about briefly the setting and the plot of each book. So let's begin. So in 1984, Orwell talks about how the truth will be suppressed. But in Brave New World, the truth becomes irrelevant. And in 1984, humanity is controlled through inflicting pain. In Brave New World, humanity is controlled through inflicting pleasure. And in 1984, Orwell talks about what we fear will ruin us. Meanwhile, in Brave New World, what we desire will ruin us. And we'll get further into the plot and setting later of Brave New World. Jennifer Government, meanwhile, is the idea in reverse of too little government as opposed to too much, or too much corporate power as opposed to too much political power, or too much freedom as opposed to no freedom. All right, that's basically it. Now, let's talk about the setting. And let's talk about the plot as well. And then we will draw out comparisons. Now, in Brave New World, now the plot. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the philosophy of Brave New World or Jennifer Government, because for Brave New World in particular, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of video essays on YouTube that can articulate it far better than me. You'll know that on this channel we don't do video reviews of popular classics. They'll appear in videos like this, but they don't get the review treatment because very little can be new that can be said from me. Anyway, so Brave New World takes place in the distant future, where the world has evolved into a world state, and humans are grown in vials, in bottles, via chemistry, and conditioned to be content where they are in life, basically. And if they do have negative emotions, they take a drug called soma. That's basically it. And the concept of family has been eliminated. And like I said, I'm not going to get too far deep into the philosophy and too far deep into the lives of the people of Brave New World, because that would take all night. But in both books, by the way, the concept of family is frowned upon. So people are grown in bottles in labs. In Brave New World, humans are grown there in bottles. Meanwhile, in Jennifer Government, there's no concept of family. Your family is the company you work for, because your value is in whether you can pay for goods and services, so you have to have a job, and you take on the last name of the company you work for. Anyway, that's basically it with Brave New World. So yeah, they've incidentally, by the way, here now we're just going to draw the comparisons right away, right now, because I've already mentioned the setting of Brave New World. Let's talk about the similarities anyway. Both books, by the way, feature drugs. Drugs do not control people in the world of Jennifer Government, but they are legal and you can easily buy them over the counter. And people are controlled via consumption of a drug called soma in Brave New World. So I talked about the setting. Let's talk quickly, very, very quickly about the plot. So, um, a person called Bernard and another person called John the Savage, who lives on what is called a reservation, well, more on that in a bit, are finding it increasingly difficult to conform to the society they live in. Meanwhile, that's basically it. That's all you really need to know. I'm not going to dive too far into the plot. Meanwhile, in Jennifer Government, let's talk about the setting. This is a world where anarcho-capitalism rules the day, where libertarian political ideology is taken to its ultimate conclusion. So no government welfare or government services, everything you have to pay extortionate prices for. Everything is privatized, so therefore your value as a human being is whether you have a job or not. Anyway, that's basically it. Now, both books feature in both books, if you don't conform to the system imposed on you, you're not imprisoned, you're not killed. You're just a social outcast. Hack Nike is a social outcast in Jennifer Government, and Bernard Marx and John the Savage are social outcasts in Brave New World. Now, the governments of both books, or lack of government in Jennifer Government, I should say, the societies where you don't conform. If you don't conform, you live in Jennifer Government. The United States of America controls much of the world population through lack of government. So borders are disappearing. But if you don't conform to the capitalist system in Jennifer Government, you just live in what is in Europe, which is deemed socialist. And in Brave New World, you live in these reservations where humanity still lives the traditional way of life. That's how I would say it. So where mothers and fathers exist. By the way, both books shun the concept. The societies in both books hate the concept of family. So in Brave New World, you belong to the state. You're a cog in the bigger machine. And in Jennifer Government, you're a cog in the machine of the company that you work for. Like I said, your value depends entirely on whether you can pay for goods and services. And so both books. Now let's. Did I get into the plot of Jennifer Government? I don't think I did. So a man called Hack Nike is stupidly, without reading a contract, is hired for a job, signs a contract, and is roped into killing a whole bunch of teenagers who rush to buy some sneakers, which creates hype, and so they can increase the prices of a brand of sneakers. I don't know, it's weird. And meanwhile, the person responsible for this killing of several people trying to buy these sneakers just so they can jack up the prices is being the Jennifer Government, the government agent, is trying to take him down, rather, because he has an even bigger plan of world domination through monopolies, economic monopolies. This book is very much a parody. This one it's actually a very funny book. This book delves more deeper into philosophical concepts of the human condition. But these Jennifer Government's the message of Jennifer Government is striking down this concept of a night watchman state, or anarcho-capitalism, or libertarianism in its ultimate form. It strikes down Ron Paul economics. dismisses it by showing how ridiculous the world would look like. Meanwhile, in Brave New World, it strikes down the concept of utopian ideals, because that comes with its own problems if you read Brave New World. So both of these books, I would say, argue against idealism, like the ultimate form of libertarianism, or the ultimate form of utopianism, where all disease and suffering is eliminated. So yeah, I think I've made most of the comparisons. Which one would I prefer? To be honest, these books are not my cup of tea. Um, Brave New World is way too short, and Jennifer Government doesn't delve deeper into the society it criticizes. um, they're not really my kind of books, but so I have a difficult time with a preference. Um, Maybe I would prefer Jennifer Government because the language is more modern, and there's humor in it, and it has more immediate political concerns. Jennifer Government, by the way, I don't think I said this in the beginning, is an alternate present. It isn't a warning against a future society. Brave New World, on the other hand, is to a degree, I would say. All right. Thanks for listening in. Good night.